Colombia is a place where not everything is clear, not everything is black and white.
Steve Dudley is the Miami Herald's correspondent in Bogota. He has been reporting in Colombia for over a decade and says the justice system is often circumvented in cases of political violence.
The problem with the way things play out here is, we never know who's really involved or who's not involved and what level they've been involved in illegal activities, because there are no trials.
2 judicial inquiries have been made by the Colombian courts. They found Coca-Cola and its bottlers innocent of any involvement in the violence against the union. But as labor historian Daniel Garcia Peña says, the justice system in Colombia is broken.
Colombia has a horrible record of impunity. The chances of an assassin or a murderer going to jail in Colombia are very, very slim. It's sad to say, but crime does pay in Colombia.
One of the reasons no one is brought to justice, says Peña, is the immense political power of the paramilitary.
These paramilitary groups control the local politicians. They control the local police chiefs. They control the local customs officials. They own, in many cases, the HMOs in the health system. They own the lottery system locally, the contraband of gasoline. Basically, they own everything.
The power of the paramilitaries has made justice all but impossible in Colombia. Dudley says that this is one reason Coca-Cola has been targeted by the union. The company can be sued outside the country, while the paramilitary is only subject to the Colombian courts.
It's very hard on a local level to build these cases. So often there is this sort of, let's go to the international level. Possibly file a lawsuit in the United States, which is what's happened in the case of Coca-Cola. File a lawsuit and figure out that maybe through a civil suit you can at least set the ball rolling, that if something happens abroad, it often will have an impact here in Colombia.
And that's exactly what happened. Because of the U.S. lawsuit and subsequent campaign against Coca-Cola back in the States, a demand for a full-scale investigation into the violence in Colombia is gaining supporters, including Patrick Doherty at the New York City Comptroller's Office, which brought a resolution before the Coca-Cola stockholders meeting.
Our position is that the company should bring in a team of investigators drawn from American and Colombian human rights organizations to go down to Colombia to fully investigate the allegations that have been made, and then let the chips fall where they may.
Coca-Cola rejects this plan. Chairman of the board Neville Isdell says such an investigation would undermine their defense against the Colombian union's lawsuit in U.S. federal court.
If a third party was permitted to come in and investigate matters that are at issue in an active lawsuit without giving the bottlers the opportunity to have counsel present to test the statements being provided, offends notions of due process and clearly could prejudice their defense. That as long as this matter remains in the courts remain the appropriate venue to settle it.
But the pressure against Coke is mounting. In December of 2005, NYU, the nation's largest private university, decided to cancel its contract with Coca-Cola until they agree to cooperate with an independent investigation in Colombia. It is now one of 12 schools boycotting the company. Critics such as Doherty insist that a comprehensive human rights investigation is the only way this issue will ever be settled.
If, for example, the inquiry shows that the officials of Coca-Cola FEMSA are not culpable, well, then certainly the company's position will be bolstered. If on the other hand, the finding is that there is culpability on the part of company officials in Colombia, then it's our position that the company should move to settle the lawsuits that have been filed, to take steps to guarantee workers' safety at the plants, and then move on, put this matter behind them.
Our trip to Colombia proved neither Coke's guilt nor their innocence, but it did make clear that the victims of anti-union violence won't be satisfied until the Coca-Cola Company agrees to a thorough, independent human rights investigation.